Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have some fun fold cards I want to share with you, and these cards have a pop-out accordion section. And I have two different ways you can use this fun fold design in your card making. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas that I want to share with you that feature a really fun and simple pop-out section. Now, this pop-out section was actually inspired by the August Paper Pumpkin Kit. I was so excited about the little pop-up section in those fun fold cards that I decided to recreate something similar for these cards. Now, the cards in this video feature the Autumn Expressions bundle from Stampin Up. Now, this particular bundle includes a stamp set and a coordinating die set. And we are going to be using this little frame die here to create a fun hinged section that we're going to add to the pop-out of our fun fold card. All right, so this is the card that I'm going to show you how to make. And so basically, I'm going to show you how to create this pop-out section here, this fun fold section. And then, of course, there is a fun fold section for the base of the card too. So you have this little insert here that we will create to put on the inside of the card. But this little flap on the outside fits actually in between these two accordion fold pieces. And then, of course, our beautiful little frame is on the front. So it might look a little bit complicated, but it's actually very simple to create. So the first thing we're going to do is create the base of the card. So we're going to create this part first, and then we'll create the accordion fold section after that. So to create the base of this fun fold card, you're going to start with a 6 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. So I'm using Early Espresso cardstock, and you're just going to score it here at 2 inches. So this will create this little flap for the base of our fun fold card. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add some designer paper to this fun fold card, to this card base. So I just chose one of the Splendid Autumn Designer Series papers. And so we are going to actually use both sides of this. So I want to use the side with the tree on it for the front flap, and then I want to use the back side of this piece for the inside of the card. So I'm going to start by just cutting off the bottom here. So what I want to do is I want to line this up at 5 3/8, and I'm just going to cut off the bottom here. And then the very first piece I'm going to cut at 1 7/8. And then when I flip this piece over, we are left with a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece. So those are the two pieces that we are going to use to decorate the inside of our card base. All right, so we're going to start by adding this piece to the inside of our card base. So this is just going to fit right in here. And then this other piece is just going to go on this front flap. All right, so that is the base of the card. So now we are ready to create the accordion section. So to create the accordion section of this fun fold card, you're going to start with a 3 3/4 by 12 inch piece of white cardstock. So we're going to score this piece, and we're going to score along that 12 inch side. So we'll start at 2 1/2 inches. So we'll score at 2 1/2. Then move it over to 5 inches. And then the last score line is going to be at 8 1/2 inches. So once you have your paper scored, then you can just go ahead and fold on all the score lines. So this section is actually 3 1/2 by 3 3/4. That's going to actually be the inside bottom part of our accordion fold. So we're just going to kind of fold this back on top of each other on these score lines. So it's kind of back and forth, So you get this accordion fold. All right, so once you have it all scored, this is what the accordion fold looks like. So these two sections, these first two sections are 2.5 inches wide. And then these last two sections are 3.5 inches wide. And everything is 3 3/4 inches long. So that is our little fun fold section for the inside of the card. So now that we have our accordion section created, we are ready to adhere it to the inside of the card base. So we're going to be adhering it right to our designer paper, and we want our accordion fold to pull out this direction. So make sure that when you're adhering it, that you have this piece kind of going off to the left. And then you're just going to flip this over, and you're going to add some glue to the back, so to this 3.5 inch section. And then you're just going to adhere it to the inside of the card, and you're going to go kind of right up to the score line, but not right on the score line, because you want to be able to have this flap move freely. So we'll just adhere that. And then this flap of the card actually is going to fit in between these two sections. So that is how our fun fold will look, so that when you open it, it'll open this way, and it'll automatically open that flap. It'll automatically open this. You don't have to glue anything to this flap. You just rest it in there, rest this on top, and that is basically your fun fold. So isn't that fun? All right, so now we can go ahead and decorate it. So start by cutting 2 pieces of old olive cardstock at 2 3/8 by 3 5/8. So we will adhere one to this front flap, and then we're going to open our accordion fold all the way, and we're going to decorate each of these sections. So that other piece of old olive cardstock is going to get adhered to the very first section of this accordion fold. So we're going to add it right in here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to cut a piece of designer paper so that I can put it on both of these sections of the inside of the card. So this first section I'm going to cut at 2 3/8 by 3 5/8, it's the same as this one. And then the second section here is going to get cut at 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. But there's a little trick to cutting this designer paper, because I want it to actually look like a continuation of the scene right across this accordion fold. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is the paper that I'm going to use for the inside of this accordion fold. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to line it up at 3 5/8, and I'm going to cut this top part off, because I only want to use this section for the inside of the card. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this upside down. So basically we're going to be cutting the bigger section and then the smaller section. So I want this tree to be on the right side here, and I want this section to be on the left side. So I'm just basically going to be turning this upside down so that I can cut this first piece. So the first piece is going to be cut at 3 3/8 inch. So we'll line that up there. And then the second piece is going to be cut at 2 3/8 inch. All right, so now we have our pieces. They're all cut and ready to go right on these two sections. So this is the 2 3/8 inch wide piece. And so that's going to go on section number 2. And then this 3 3/8 inch wide piece is going to go in that third section. And so it just gives you a really nice look because it looks like the scene is just continuing. Okay. Now this very last section, you can just leave it white as it is, or you can add some additional layers if you want to. I happen to add some additional layers. So I just have a 3 3/8 inch by 3 5/8 inch piece of old olive cardstock. So I'm just going to add this layer right in here. And then I'm just going to add a 3 1/4 by 3 1/2 inch piece of white cardstock. You don't have to do this. I just wanted to add just a little bit of matting around this white piece. All right, so that is basically what the inside of the card looks like. So this is what our fun fold looks like so far. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create that frame for the front of the card. So this is the frame that we're going to create to add to our accordion fold. So this particular bundle just had this really cool little frame, and I thought it would be neat to just make a little hinged piece here for this accordion fold. So I'm kind of extending the accordion fold a little bit by adding this hinged piece. So let me show you how to make that. All right, so to make that hinged section with the frame, we're going to use the die from the Autumn Expressions bundle. And so this die cuts out this entire frame, it cuts it out as one piece. So you're going to cut 2 of them. So I cut 2 of them from a piece of early espresso cardstock. And so when you cut out the die, it also cuts out these little label shapes as well. And the label shapes are different sizes. So you can see one is slightly smaller than the other one. And so these will pop out from the center. So basically what you want to do is you want to fold on the score lines. So there's little score lines here on this particular die cut shape. So you just fold it in half like this, and you can see that there's just a little edge, you know, in here where these frames, one frame is smaller than the other. So you're going to notice when you put these together that this one is smaller than the other, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So what you're going to do is just glue this together. So I just added some liquid glue all the way around this piece here. And I just glued these 2 frames together. So you just fold that over and glue them together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these dies back in here because I want to make this as strong as I can. So this is the smaller one. So we're just going to add this larger one in here first. So I'm going to add some glue kind of around the stitching. And so we'll adhere this inside here first. And then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to adhere this other label on the inside. So for what I'm using this for, this will work out really great because it will make this stronger so that when we open and close our fun fold card, you know, we have a strong frame or a strong piece that won't tear apart when you open and close your fun fold. So basically that's what you want to do with the frame. That's how I put together my frame. And these little pieces on the side here have little score lines on them. So you're going to fold these over, and this is actually going to create the hinge for these 2 pieces to get attached together. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one together, and then I'll show you how to attach these 2 hinges together to create the extended accordion fold section. All right, so once you have your little frames ready to go, basically what we're going to do is we're going to adhere one of these to the inside. And so I want to pay attention to where this larger hinge is. So I'm going to make sure that the 2 large hinges are able to be connected here. So you can see these two hinges right here are the smaller hinges, so that's where the frame folded together. And then these two hinges over here are the ones that I want to connect. So I'm going to connect these to this direction, but I want to adhere this one first. So I'm going to add some glue to this piece, and we are going to adhere this on the inside, and I'm basically just going to line it up with the edge of the old olive cardstock. So we'll just adhere that one there. And then I have that large hinge here, and I have the other large hinges here. You can tell they're the large hinges because they have a score line here. So basically what I'm going to do is just adhere these together, and I'm going to use some liquid glue because it actually works really well to hold everything together. So we will just adhere those two hinges together. So we'll have to give this a chance to set up and dry, and then once it is dry, we can play around with it. So while it is drying, let's go ahead and just decorate the rest of this. So the next thing I did is just cut out, I used that label shape, that frame die, and I just cut out another label just from the same type of pattern paper. And I just wanted to kind of continue that theme. So I'm just going to put this right over that early espresso cardstock, and it kind of gives the illusion of a little window. And then I created another label shape and just stamped a greeting on it using Mossy Meadow ink. And so that's just going to go on this frame. All right, so once we have those little labels added, we can go ahead and close this. And you want to make sure that you have folded on these score lines here so that when it closes, it gives you this nice little hinge on the edge. So your greeting will rest on the front of the card, and then this piece will be on the inside. So the last thing that I did for this is I just added another label shape actually to the back of this because it was a little awkward to try to open this up with this label laying directly on the accordion fold. So basically what I'm going to do is just add some glue to this, and I'm kind of creating like a little tab, I guess, just so that I can pull this section open. So I'm adding it right behind this label shape here on the front, just so that I have a little piece here that I can use to open up the card. All right, so that's what it'll look like. It'll just stick out just a little bit, and this is what it looks like on the back. But that will just help kind of give you a little tab so that you can open and you can close your accordion fold. All right, so the last thing I have for you is I'm just gonna add a couple leaves here just on that little tab just to kind of decorate this up a little bit. So this will just kind of hang right here, and then we'll just pop a little leaf right here on top of that other one. And so, okay, so this is the portrait style fun fold card, but of course you can make this exact same design in landscape style. You simply have to turn the orientation of the card and just decorate it in the landscape style instead of the portrait style. So when you decorate it in landscape style, this is how your card will open. So it's the exact same measurements. It's just a matter of changing the orientation of how this accordion section opens, and of course changing how you decorate the card. So you want to decorate it in the landscape style, or you can decorate it in the portrait style. But the measurements for creating the base of the card and the accordion fold section are exactly the same. Okay, so there you go. Now you have two different ways that you can use this fun fold design in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.